Welcome to Tech Talk with R&E Automated. I'm your host, Jordan Dieterle. Join us as we dive into the world of automation and manufacturing, bringing you expert insights from industrial professionals and business leaders. Whether you're a business owner, engineer, or simply passionate about technology, this podcast is your go-to source for the latest trends and innovations in the field. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tech Talk with R&E Automated. I'm your host, Jordan Dieterle. I'm excited to kick this one off. It's the solo episode today. Looking forward to this one. It's a little different than what I've did in the past. Usually I have somebody else on the other side. So it's just me. You're gonna hear me talk and kind of give you the whole rundown of how this goes. If whether you're a veteran of the industry in in automation, or you're exploring the possibility of becoming an automation engineer, you came to the right place. I have 13 years of experience, and throughout my career I've worked alongside some professionals, really skilled professionals, especially at R&E here. I've been with R&E for 8 years, so I've worked with skilled professionals in controls, robotics, welding, maintenance, electricians, and some riggers, helping manufacturing facilities optimize their processes, or developing cutting edge technologies, and just overall trying to help them, make them successful. And my passion lies with trying to bridge that gap with advanced automation and that human talent that is driving it. And obviously automation is continuously, fostering and growing and become more innovative as the future goes on. And I'm dedicated, empowering those manufacturers to overcome those challenges and adapt to the trends. And I want to see them succeed. So I think it's, the industry as a whole has continuously grown, and I'm always looking for that. And I think that, in the future, we can easily do that. And I'd love to do that through this podcast. I want to kind of give you, some insights into, why I created the podcast, right? And I did this to, empower manufacturers with knowledge and tools, to thrive. I really wanted, manufacturers to thrive in today's fast-paced environment. I'm trying to share on this podcast, I want to share insights into the latest technologies and trends in automation and manufacturing, right? I think that sometimes when you're in manufacturing plants, it's older stuff, and you're like, man, I could easily implement this simple process to make this way faster, improve your process overall. And I also want to hear, or explore, some success stories and lessons learned from industrial leaders. And I think you've kind of seen that, in my previous podcasts with, some of my guests, just kind of getting their story and hearing what they have to, offer. I think that's very interesting to hear, hey, a guy started out, as a maintenance technician. He got a 2-year degree, started out as a maintenance technician, and he, in 10 years, he went from a maintenance technician to a VP of engineering. Like, that's a really interesting story to hear. How did he do that? What did he do? And I feel like you as the listeners really want to hear those kind of things and hear, what obstacles did he overcome, or even manufacturers, what obstacles do they have to overcome, on that factory floor, or, in, that process to become the, senior VP of sales, or, the CEO, or whatever it might be. Right. I think that's really, kind of what I'm looking for with, developing this podcast and, making, solid connections within the manufacturing industry. I think that that's, part of the whole goal is, to connect with people, through these actionable, stories and lessons that, industrial professionals provide, as, time goes on, that, they continuously have new things that are coming up and new stories and conversations, and they're always adapting and learning, and unlocking, different potential and solving problems, within, the ever changing of our industry. Manufacturing is always changing, and some of those, topics that I'm looking at, or, that I'm trying to cover is, the trends and, maybe even some workforce challenges, that some of these, companies experience. So yeah, overall, each episode I feel like is going to be, informative and inspiring, and equip you with, some of the tools and knowledges, that I think you'll thrive with in the environment. Especially, with some of the, the guests that I have coming up. I'm excited for some of them, and I'm looking, to kind of break down some trends and, kind of see what, what's new out there. What do we have coming, and see how I can help you. And part of it, is, I've always had a passion for the manufacturing space. And part of those, passions for the manufacturing space for me is, I started as an electrician, right? And I'm going to kind of give you guys a little background of my story here, because it's really what drove me to figure out what my passion was for manufacturing and automation. I started as an electrician, and I didn't really know. Let me rephrase it. I knew what I wanted to do since I've been in 8th grade. I wanted to be an electrician, but I didn't know that I didn't like to wear a tool pouch every day. And so I was working as an electrician, and I was like, hey, maybe I need to go into, let's see what robotics has to offer. So I've worked for a couple tier 2s or tier 1 suppliers while I was, still getting my electrical license. And I kind of advanced up, and they say over the, period of time, I worked for R&E International and Kirchhoff Automotive as controls technician. I worked for, about 3 years, for those two companies, in between. And I also met R&E Automated in that time period. And I took a job with R&E in 2017, and I've never looked back. I excelled, and what drove me to the passion was when I joined R&E, they denied me 3 different times, or 2 different times, and then they hired me the third time. They say, shout out to Dave Begansky for actually, giving me a chance for a controls engineering position. And I'm not going to lie, I thought I knew controls very well. I just knew electrical very well, and I was just, hey, I'll figure this out. And I took the job, and instantly realized that I just did not know controls like I thought I did. And I was fathomed that I didn't realize that there was so much more to this job. So I instantly, put my nose to the grindstone, and I went to work. I learned as much as I physically could. And I just became so dedicated to learning, that it was, a part of the job. And I, continuously learned even on the job. And that was, really what excelled me, in my career with R&E, was I was always wanting to learn, always, trying to solve those problems, and this is part of my passion, was I wanted to solve the problems and drive, the progress, make an impact on the industry. And I always was willing to work as a team and collaborate, within other, whether it was a customer or a coworker. And I wanted to empower the business to grow. I felt like, hey, if I can help, I'm going to. So I worked my way up from, just a controls engineer to, hey, I'm going to lead. And I led a team of 29 people for a customer for 5 years. At a plant, saying it was just me as a lead controls engineer, working my way, through problems, solving issues. And, I can kind of give you an example of one of those problems that we experienced at this plant. And this plant was very interesting. It turned out, it was about a 4-day process where we needed to solve a problem for the customer. And it was me and about 3 or 4 of the other engineers saying we're trying to solve this problem. And it was about 4 18-hour days. We just could not find the problem. We called in the expert. We called in Alan Bradley, and they sent a field service engineer out. They say, and obviously we're talking with the expert, the manufacturer of the controller. And we kept going back to, it was this static switch. And obviously for us, for some of our listeners, a static switch is, our network device that communicates back and forth with, devices in the field of an automation system, as well as, Allen Bradley is an Allen Bradley PLC controller, a programmable logic controller that, controls the system controls the automation system. So I'm actively trying to, solve this problem, with, this field service engineer from Allen Bradley. And we just could not find the problem. We just kept coming back to this one problem. And we're like, okay, maybe we need to change this out. Well, we just didn't, we didn't have one. Say they didn't have one. So I was like, hey, let's keep looking. And we kept looking. And it turned out it was just something super small on like day 4 in the morning. And what I thought it was is, hey, maybe we just need to get some rest and come back to it and we'll figure it out. And all it was, hey, maybe we need to check this box. And that box that we needed to check was, hey, all these devices need to be unicast. Well, unicast is, hey, I only need you to communicate with this one device, not every device to say within the system or on the network. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So we had to do that for every device. And next thing you know, the system worked. Well, obviously we solved a big problem because we started having this problem everywhere in the plant. So we instantly went through and, made sure that all these systems were solved with this problem to, get rid of that. So I always look at that, hey, that was a teamwork and a collaboration effort. I mean, obviously the customer was down for that period of time, but we did solve it and we collaborated and, we learned and made an impact to say for that customer. And I know now, hey, I'll never do that. So, and I always look at it too as, I was solving a problem, which is probably one of the funnest things when you're an engineer is to solve a problem in the field, as you're working through it. Right. So yeah. And I think that that's, really big in our industry. And, I'm always for, that those kind of actionable items that I'm stating, in any career, but I mean, especially in manufacturing and automation, because there's times where you could be working 70, 80 hours a week, right? So I always think that those are big ones to hit on, and especially for new people that want to come into the industry. I think this is, hey, if you make an impact and you're always wanting to learn and you're willing to work as a team and you want to, solve problems and to say, be innovative, I think you can really succeed in the manufacturing space. So I want to also say, hey, I look forward to 2025, and I'm looking forward to, connecting with, other manufacturing companies and top tier professionals, especially, on the R&E side. And, for Tech Talk with R&E, I want to hear, your guys' stories and, bring you on, if you're interested to, express your story and understand, some of your needs that you have within the manufacturing industry. Some of your needs are challenging, and I feel like we at R&E could help solve some of those processes or, your pain points within, your manufacturing process. Whether it, be deploying, some controls engineer or robot engineer, maybe even a welding engineer, or you just need some maintenance personnel within your manufacturing plant. I mean, we're very, diverse, and we have over 400 individuals that can, tackle these complex problems for you and adapt, to the technologies that you have on your manufacturing floor. So I always, advise that, hey, we're a very diverse company and we can, help in many different ways in bridging that gap between talent and your opportunities that you do have, and help your business thrive. So please, hey, stay informed on this and we'll gladly help you, and you can gladly reach out to me. I always look forward to it. And I do encourage you, hey, share your challenges and goals in the automation space. Whether it be, with me on LinkedIn or, hey, Tech Talk with R&E Automated. I love to hear it. And I, invite you to reach out and see how I can help you as well. I'm always looking to connect with people, whether it be LinkedIn, my email. My email is jdieterle@reautomated.com, and you can get it right here and on my LinkedIn. You're welcome to also, give me a buzz on my phone. I mean, my phone number is on my LinkedIn. I'm always looking to talk with new professionals within the industry. Lastly, I'd like to thank, the audience for tuning in and supporting the podcast. I'm looking forward to, 2025. I know I've said this to say a couple times, but I think 2025 is going to be a big year. Know that there's a lot of, growth happening here in South Carolina. I mean, that's where I reside, but even in the, even in the manufacturing space, I feel like there's like a 7-year cycle, right? That, I think will, we're kind of in that, 7th year where it's, hey, there's a lot of new things that are coming, new models that are coming out. So I'm definitely seeing, some growth coming, here in the future. And also, hey, take a chance to, preview, the upcoming episodes and, some key topics that, I'm going to talk about here. I've got some great guests lining up, and I'm looking forward to, hey, hearing your guys' comments, and, don't hesitate. Please comment on, on my LinkedIn post that you see interesting, and or reach out. I mean, I'm always open to, answering questions and seeing how I can support you in 2025. So I'm hoping that, hey, we make 2025, a great year for, growth and success in the manufacturing space. I look forward to this. And please, reach out if you ever need anything. And I think that's my wrap of, 2025 solo podcast. I'll be signing off. Thank you.